everyone, thank you for coming or for coming back. Today I'm going to show you how to make your own sprinkles. Now, sprinkles are really easy to make. They take very few ingredients and they are super easy to customize and play around with. And really there is pretty much no reason that you should be buying sprinkles. So all of the ingredients and the measurements are listed down below and we can start baking. So our sprinkles are going to be made out of royal icing, so we are going to start with a large bowl into which we are going to add our egg whites and cream of tartar. Now, cream of tartar is a stabilizer. It helps make egg whites sort of stay stiff in things like pavlova and meringues. In this, I find that it helps the sprinkles dry faster. You can leave it out, it will just take a little bit longer for your royal icing to set up, so I suggest finding some cream of tartar. So into this we are going to add our powdered sugar. Now, I don't really measure my powdered sugar, I just add enough that I can get to the consistency that I like, and then I'll add a little bit more powdered sugar or a little bit of water if I need it any thicker or thinner. Generally, you're just looking for a consistency that is nice and smooth and you can pipe and spread it easily. So we are going to beat our mixture on high speed with beaters or in a stand mixer until it is nice and stiff and we've added enough powdered sugar that we've got the consistency that we want, and then we are ready to color our sprinkles. Now, this is one of the great things about making your own sprinkles. You can customize your colors. So if you want something really bright or something really pastel, it is very easy to change. And I actually just make all of my colors using the 3 primary colors as well as black if I need it. So you don't need to go buying a whole lot of fancy food dye if you want to make different colors. I do prefer the gel colors to the liquid colors because it just doesn't change the consistency of my icing quite as much, but you can use liquid colors here and it will work just the same. So my colors for my sprinkles I decided to use are a red, an orange, a green, a blue, a purple, and a white. So once I had all my colors mixed and ready to go, we can start piping or spreading our sprinkles. Now I am going to show you 3 different ways to make your sprinkles so that you don't need to go out and get extra fancy tools to make your sprinkles or anything like that. So the first method we are going to do is we are going to use a paper cone to pipe out our sprinkles. Now you can also do this with a piping bag with a nice small writing tip, but I am going to show you how to use a paper cone just in case you don't have any piping bags. So to make a paper cone, all you're going to do is take a square of parchment paper. You're going to fold it into triangles and cut them in half. Setting one of your triangles aside for later, you're going to take your other triangle and face it so that the point of the triangle is facing towards you, and then you're going to grab one of the far corners and turn it over so that it meets facing up with the top of the triangle, and then you're going to take the last corner and bring it all the way around to meet with the top 2 on the other side. Then you're just going to pull up the outer layer so that you get a nice steep point at the top of your cone, and then you're going to fold it over to secure it in place. You are going to want to make the same number of cones that you have colors of sprinkles, so after you've repeated it and have the number of cones that you need, we can fill them up and start piping. So to fill this, the easiest way is to take your paper cone and stand it up in a glass, and then you can put a little blob of your sprinkle icing in the bottom of the cone, and then to fold it up, you're just going to flatten it, making sure that the seam is on the middle and not one of the sides. And then you're going to roll it down and fold it, making sure that there is a nice firm closure at the top so that your icing doesn't all come out the back when you are piping. After you've repeated this with all your colors, we can pipe our sprinkles. So now you're going to cut a tip off the end of your piping cone, which is going to determine the size of your sprinkle. You can always cut it bigger, so I would suggest you start with a small one and see if you like that thickness for your sprinkles before making it any bigger. Now to pipe your sprinkles, all you're going to do is pipe a nice straight line along a piece of parchment lined baking paper, and you're just going to keep on doing this until you have completely filled your tray or have completely run out of icing. I would suggest that you make these lines as close together as possible because you can make a whole lot of sprinkles and you don't want to have millions of trays sitting around while they dry out. Once you have all your sprinkles piped, this tray can go and sit aside until they have dried. I generally like to leave it for 12 hours or overnight just to make sure that they are fully dried. Now for our next method, we will need no fancy tools. All we are going to do is take our icing and we are going to put a nice little blob on a parchment paper lined baking tray, and we are going to take a spoon or a spatula or a palette knife and you're going to spread it out into a nice thin sheet. The thickness that you do will change the thickness of your sprinkle, and it will also change the speed at which your icing dries. So if you want it to be done faster, then make a thinner spread icing. Once you have done all your colors for this one, you can also set this aside to dry. Now the last one is something that I was excited about, but it maybe didn't turn out as well as I had hoped. I think it was just the size of the tool that I used. So if you want to go ahead and try this out, then I would suggest using something a little bit smaller. But I just made some sprinkles using a cake comb. So all I did was take my icing and make a nice little line of it, and then I took my cake comb and I just combed through it, leaving some blank spaces as well as some nice thick icing lines, and then I left those aside to dry as well. This honestly didn't work the greatest, especially because when you had to scrape off the extra icing, it would end up melding the colors and it turned into sort of a grayish brown rainbow. But if you're able to do this better than me, then by all means, go ahead and do it. Now, if you really want to customize your sprinkles, then this is going to take a little bit longer, but what you can do is take your little paper cones and you can pipe out designs. Now, if you really want to customize your sprinkles, then you can hand pipe them into things like shapes and words and letters and little rainbows like I've done here. This will take a lot longer per sprinkle, of course, so it's probably not something that you should be doing every single time you need them, but they are a lot of fun and they are super cute and customizable. So keep that in mind if you have your little paper cones and they still have icing in them and you need something to do with. So a day later, all of my sprinkles are nicely dried and they are ready to cut. So with the piped lines, they are really easy to peel off the parchment and just cut right on the tray, and they are so much fun and they sound really cool when you're cutting them. The next ones that we are going to do is our nice little sheets. I took these off of my parchment paper and just put them on a cutting board to slice up. These are going to end up as sort of little flakes of sprinkles or shards of sprinkles. They are a little bit sharp, but they are mostly sugar, so they will dissolve, so you don't have to worry about stabbing yourself too many times if you eat something with one of these on them. But they are so cool to cut and they just crumble pretty much instantly. And if you do these, then it is really easy to keep them in separate piles, or you can mix them all together to make a nice little rainbow. And then lastly is our cake combed sprinkles. Again, I didn't really love the way that these turned out, but if you have a smaller cake comb, then I'm sure that you can make it work. So I just pulled those off the parchment as well and then cut them up into small pieces. And lastly, you can see my nice little piped rainbow and my little name here. It is so adorable. I don't think I will be making too many of these, but they are an option if you ever need a project. So those are all the sprinkles. I personally think that I like the piped ones the most, and they were honestly so easy to do. And again, you can customize the colors. You could have pastel sprinkles, you can make a whole little colorful aesthetic with your sprinkles, and I think it would be so cute. So I hope you make these, I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you next time.